Priyanka, you can.
ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति 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 कर्तुराज्ञया प्राप्यते फलम् कर्म किं परम् कर्म तज्जडम् कृतिमहोदधौ पतनकारणम् फलं शाश्वतम् गतिनिरोधकम् ईश्वरार्पितम् नेच्छया कृतम् चित्तशोधकम् मुक्तिसाधकम्.
So, having done verse 1 and 2, I'm just quickly taking a recap. We as Siddhanti, here Vedantin, and here Ramana, representing in his teachings, is saying that Ishwara is Faldata. And simple reason is karma is jad, inert. Karam is inert. It doesn't have the capacity to initiate a change, to bring about a modification, or simply put, it cannot generate a phal because phal is a modification. So, what really is Ishwara? He is a phal data. This is a very concrete meaning. Concrete in the sense very specific. Another thing one can just think about is karma by itself cannot generate a result. But if I look further, who generates the result? Like we were saying yesterday, this karma I have done, ये गया कहाँ? जाता कहाँ है? If I can see myself generating a karam, can I see myself generating a phal? Can I see myself generating a karam? Yes.
In a way, yes, because if I don't generate the action, then I won't, like, the result cannot happen.
Correct. But I can see that I can do action, no? I'm seeing I can do action. Can I see that I can do phal?
No, because I am uncertain anyways about the phal.
Correct. I cannot see it is the point. मुझे दिख ही नहीं रहा है. I seem to be able to do karma, but I don't seem to have any effect of or control or capacity to generate phal. This is a very beautiful, subtle point. Correct. Now, karam is inert, it cannot generate phal. I am conscious. I can do karma. But can I generate phal? I don't know. Karma, I don't know. Nahi. I am certain I cannot generate phal. See, if I see my experience properly, जब हम कहते हैं कि मैं करूंगी, करूंगा, करना है ना, आना है, जाना है, every verb that is related to action is all in the capacity of doing something. I can generate something. That is karma. मैं कर सकता हूं, कर सकती हूं. I can identify मुझे क्या करना चाहिए. And I can set about, plan, I can goal making, I can create material, I can create action plans, POAs I can have, multiple POAs I can have, plan of actions. इसके बाद ये, इसके बाद ये, इसके बाद ये. At this time, that time mapping I can do, what is it, calendars, I can fill. In everything it is karna, 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 karna. But with reference to phal, I'm only an experiencer of it. I'm only a bhogi. I'm a bhokta. I have absolutely no control. I know most of the people would understand this because common hai ye. But truly speaking, the breakthrough is in seeing my limitation. And that limitation is with reference to a result, that yin and yang diagram, I have done the karma, after which I have no control, and then it has come back to me, and I am now an experiencer of it, along with my continued capacity to be a karta. So I can still do something after the experience that I have, I'm gaining, but with reference to the experience that I have already got now, जिसको मैं अब भोक्ता बन गई हूं. What has this come to me? Say during these COVID times, there were so many people who had a bad experience, a difficult life, suddenly out of nowhere, overnight. And there were a very handful of people for whom things actually became better. Few people, lesser people maybe, but the majority, their life drastically changed. Now, with reference to what has come, I have become an experiencer. But I still have a continued capacity to generate karma. How will I receive it? What if I can modify some other karma? But it is nothing. I can have no control over the result, the phal that has matured and has now come. Only option I have is that I can be a bhogi of it. I can only experience it. Now, there's a different thought track from there. How do I experience and how do I mess it up further, generate more karmas again in that non-acceptance of phal, and then again start that cycle? Besides the point. Here the thing is, karma is not generating result. I am not generating result. Then how is the result coming? Ishwara is that principle which is absolutely the realm of aprathyaksham, not visible, not contactable, cannot be discerned by human objectivity. You cannot. But you can infer something. Here, if I am a doer and I cannot do phal, and I am an experiencer of phal, so I am the karta and the bhokta, wo jo beech ka gap hai na, that I posit, that each one is getting phal accordingly, differently. Of the same COVID situation, no two people have had the same experience. The situation is the same externally, but every person has had a different experience out of this. Now, each experience that has come to each one, there is a regulator, has to be. It's not like a law of gravity. It's not like it has सब जो ऊपर गया है वो नहीं, it's a steady thing. It'll work the same force on everybody. What is that force? 99 point something something or 92 point something, whatever it is, per square feet face, something something something. Whatever is that fall rate is working same on everyone. But karmaphal prapti is not same for even two people in the same family, of the same experience, of the same parent, supposing. Everything remaining same, the experience can be completely different. That experience that I have generated or I am experiencing, yes, everything need not be karma phal, besides the point. Here I'm sticking only to one point. The point is that how am I going to accept that there is this ordainer who seems to be in between my karma and my phal. And this ordainer is not going to be some inert thing, because it seems to be modifying the environment according to what has to be generated. There seems to be a modification in environment happening, or a creation is constantly undergoing a change. That creation which undergoes a change, what is the principle of that change? Is it only human being and his buddhupan that is creating the change in the world? Or himself thinking I'm intelligent? What is it that is, in spite of all human intelligence, everyone, most of the things we have still not discovered. We don't have answers for. But creation is constantly changing. So I think in the book I mentioned in that line, to each one modifying the environment so that you are the experiencer of your phal, that aspect has to be very, very, very conscious. It has to be intelligent. Intelligent is not as an upadhi, but it has to express consciousness there. It has to be extremely conscious, above my capacity of my consciousness, in that sense of capacity, not the nature, but the capacity of me being alert and conscious. I cannot determine a result, but if I am getting a result according to whatever specification it seems to come with, I always say everybody's life, the first time when we come back from there's a different world when you study in an ashram or a gurukul, and it's a different dunya. You are kind of interacting at a different perception of thought. But when you come back to the world in between, I suddenly realized there are a lot of designer stuffs that had started coming. Previously, your school and college, you just are into standard things. And then suddenly I realized, oh my God, designers become a big, big, big thing. And the thought occurred to me, my God, every life is actually a very specific designer, as if it's designed. Because there is no common thing between any life experience. Though everything seems common, sukh and dukh sabka common hai. But the situations in which it seems to be personalized, it is as if personally crafted for you. The same world, same 5 elements, but your experience of it, as if it is crafted specifically for you. And that is why everybody has this question, why me, mere saath? Because you genuinely think there is something out there in creation which is personally referring to you, either attacking you or helping you or something like that. This kartuhu, karta, that we said is Ishwara. उसी की आज्ञा से प्राप्यते फलम. Agya means what? Somebody has to design the season. Somebody has to design the time in which that phal has to mature. Somebody has to design the intensity. Somebody has to design the external factor of your experience, which is not in your control. To that we say is karta. Then continuing with that, it is said that, okay, karma itself, the Purva Mimamsaka means those people who say no, karma is still very powerful, because especially the Purva Mimamsaka who says, कर्मों में ही लिखा है that आप ये कर्म करोगे तो आपको स्वर्ग मिलेगा. It is written in that very karma itself. So by performance of that karma में लिखा है I should get that phal which is swargam. And that there are karmas that are 100 years long or even more than that, and extremely strenuous. But they promise that if you do this exactly like this, you will get the phal of being in a swargam. And according to Karma Mimamsaka, because swarga is unbroken state of happiness, it's niratishaya, means it's unsurpassable. What human beings experience as happiness, the happiness you get in swargam is qualitatively and quantitatively unimaginable by a human being. So if that is going to be the happiness I get in that swargalok, so yehi moksha hoga, because it's unsurpassable. And moksha means always being happy. You're free now. So that happiness must be a state of freedom. To which we are now saying here, Ramana says is, no. If you say karma is what has generated swarga, then it is nitya. It is anitya. Because karma is anitya. Karma start hua na. Karma wasn't there before you started. So what is anitya? Anitya means temporary existence. What has a temporary existence cannot give a permanent result. So if karma is temporary, it cannot generate a permanent state of happiness. So swargam is also anityam. And to say this, here it is. The order is wrong. Okay. To collaborate this point, in the Gita, Krishna tells Arjuna, there is a verse in the 9th chapter, and this clearly specifies how swargam is also temporary. You may earn it with your karma, but karma gets exhausted with the experience. As you keep experiencing it, it's like spending money. So if you have, say, 1,000 rupees in your bank, you are only insured for 1,000 rupees to start with. But the more you keep on spending it, it's only lessening, because you're not adding more. So at some point, your bank balance is zero. So Swargalok is a sthan of existence where you cannot manipulate your karma. You can neither add positive or negative. You are only a bhogi of sukham for as long as your karma has earned you. The minute you exhaust that phal, this verse says, and Shastra accepts it, it says you fall back to Martya Loka, to this form. And sometimes the fall is so bad that you even slip to the lower forms of existence, like animals and even lower insects and even lower. You keep going lower and lower. That means Swarga, even if it looks to be, in the Vedic calculation, it is some lakhs human years, yugas. Even if you say in every yug there is this much time, which is thousands of years, even if you say I experience sukham, unsurpassable sukham for that many thousands of years, it is still going to fall back. That falling back, tetam bhuktva swargalokam vishalam. This swargalok is so vishal. Tetam, all those having experienced this vishala swargalokam. Shine punye. The minute the punyam has got exhausted, shinaha means disintegrated, khatam ho gaya. Shinaha is, you have a heap of salt, supposing, and then you add water. What is happening to salt? You see it dissolving, 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 dissolving. Sheen hota ja raha hai. And not exactly the right meaning, means it just disintegrates. Shine punye. When that punya is gone, martya loke vishanti. they enter back. Vishanti means they have entered back. Where? Martyaloka. And what is Martyaloka? Earthly existence. Evam traidharmam anuprapanna gatagatam kama kama labhante. In this manner, the Vedas give karmas, but the karmas only take a person according to your kamana. When you do those karmas, gata-gatam, they come and go up and down. In Katha Upanishad, there's a beautiful analogy of a tree. And in tree, you have different birds sitting on different branches, and each bird is cuckoo, cuckoo, kaka, and they're doing sounds there. And how are the birds moving on different branches is said how there are different worlds which you inhabit. In the sense, all dependent upon your karma. So, Tetam Bhuktva means this Swargam that you think karma is associated with as moksha, Siddhanta, Vedanta, Ramana, clear in their conveying, don't have hope that this is permanent existence. If you will depend on karma for happiness, take it, rewire yourself. I tell myself, Vedanta is all rewiring. You just recondition. We are all believed in a particular way. When we get education, you just rewire your thinking. What is a rewiring here? That if a happiness has come from karma, however beautiful it is, I need to be prepared. The day I experience that happiness is the first day of its having shinam. It is only going to be lesser and lesser in time. It is not going to get better if I have had the best happiness. If I don't have the best happiness, I can hope for better and better. It'll come to some point it'll come, it can't go more than this from any karma. All karmas will have up to a point. It can't go any better than that. After that, the decline is bound to happen. So the preparation automatically based on karma is that nothing is permanent. Your happiness is not going to be permanent. Moreover, what did he really say in that point? This realm of karma is also not only it is ashashvatam, which we just saw. The entire swargam is ashashvatam. If that is ashashvatam, then everything else is ashashvatam. It is incidentally there for some time. Shanika. Sara sukh karam ka actually shanik hai. Shanik means that translation of it being temporary means shan bhar ke liye, means you experience and it's gone. Teen ho raha hai wo sukh actually sheen ho raha hai. Dukh bhi sheen hi ho raha hai. So that aspect of it, it is karma is in that sense results can never give you complete happiness. It is also always keeping you engaged in the cycle of karma, and because of that it keeps your avidya janit karta bhokta status that you have acquired on yourself. You, the Atma, who has now believed yourself to be karta and bhokta, you go on strengthening that status. The status doesn't change. Not only doesn't change, it gets more and more imprinted. So whatever is more imprinted in you, you are going to act on that more quicker. Whatever impression you hold within yourself are going to be the springboard of your actions. So the karta bhav will generate more karma, and that karma, again, the same cycle. So now the question is, these two verses were addressing the people who believe karma to be complete, dismissing that. Now the question is, what do we do with our capacity to act, and what do we do with the feel of that void? If that is constant felt, and another constant felt is I have the restlessness to do something, to change that, to alter the conclusion that I am empty, or I need to fulfill, or I need to be more happy, or I need to do something, all those things. What do I do about that? Now comes Siddhant. Because if karma is Mahodadi, is a vast ocean, and it will only put me in samsara, what is going to be my first instinct? if you've understood the verse well, if karma is a realm of endless cycles of karma, it's a Mahadadi, and it only brings me greater and greater fall. And it is still not reliable. It is still unreliable to give me happiness. Then what should be my conclusion with reference to karma?
I want to get out of the cycle.
I want to get out of the cycle, and my first instinct will be, I don't want to do karma.
Yeah.
I mean, if that hasn't got generated, means I have failed in communication. Because the minute I get that perception, इतना तंग करता है अगर कर्मा, तो मुझे कर्मा करना ही नहीं है. That's my first instinct. I don't want to do karma then. No, you just get that feeling. What else is the option? How can I get out of this? That's Arjuna's question in first chapter of the Gita. I don't want to kill my grandfather and my revered teacher. What a conflict of dharma. What a conflict of interest. That he stands there to kill his own people that he respected and loved, and those who loved him back and cared for him and brought him up and educated him and gave him everything. Today he stands in the position to say, I have to kill them. And the whole war rests on his capacity and capability. What a difficult situation of life that is. And to him, his first instinct instantly was, thank God for that little anugraha, but his first instinct is, I'll take sannyas. Let me run away from here. मुझे कर्म नहीं करना. Let me take sannyas. Thank God that he was asking Krishna, should I take sannyas? He did not say, I will take sannyas. If he had said, I will take sannyas, sure enough, what would have happened? Krishna would have got out of the chariot or would have turned the chariot, because he's already made up his mind. His mind is made, I will only take sannyas, तो अब तो कुछ नहीं कर सकते. That's his will, that's his free will, that's his choice. He wants to take sannyas. Right or wrong, he's not even, it's like, so let him go. But thank God for Arjuna and his Chitta Shuddhi, or whatever you call it, his studentship. He asks Krishna, should I take sannyas? Is it the right thing to do? And he accepts that there is this conflict of interest that he has. What is it that is the right thing to do? He asks from his standpoint of dharma. And so we have the entire Gita. So the first instinct when one understands karma is so painful. It keeps us in a cycle of extroversion. It keeps us engaged. Even simple things which are karma based are actually exhausting at some point. Everything gets tiring and exhausting after some first little freshness. Everything becomes like a monotonous routine kind of a thing. Karma is tiring. So everybody wants to get out of karma. But is that the option for happiness? अगर कर्म सुख नहीं दे रहा, तो कर्म ना करना क्या सुख देगा? This is a fantastic Mimamsa thinking that Veda makes us go through. That's Vedanta. Now, if I do karma, I get into samsara, which is dukham. If I don't do karma, will I get sukham? Because there are only two options, karo ya na karo, that an average person will think. Na karke kya sukh milega mujhe? I'm not getting sukh from there. How do I not get sukh from there? The whole Gita will tell us. Inaction cannot give you फल. Proper फल भी नहीं देगा. शरीर यात्रा के लिए भी कर्म करना पड़ेगा आपको. So whatever you need to do, basic even to run your life, is dependent on karma. And if you don't do karma, you're not generating anything for it. So therefore, if I do karma, I get into samsara. If I don't do karma, I slip into, say, okay, difficulty, poverty, externally, blah, 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 and my existence gets extremely difficult. What is the third option now? And here starts self-growth. For whoever's interested in spiritual growth, self-growth, forget the words. If you are interested in finding the technique with which the happiness remains, abide it. Third verse is a summary of the entire third and fourth chapter of the Gita. What is that? He says, Karam karo. First thing, never slip into a state where you give up action. Choose your action. Continue with action. But Ishwararpitam. First condition. Nechaya kritam. What is that condition? Ishwar arpit. To Ishwar arpanam. Na ichha kritam. How is it possible to act without ichha? Means having chosen what you have to do, now let aside your ichha. Concentrate on your karma. The karma that is going to become Ishwara arpanam. Done with the attitude of arpanam. And this I want to elaborate today a little. Because if you do not understand the word Ishwara, which most of us don't, you don't understand how to do arpanam. So even though my explanation is complete now and I can move on, if you ask yourself, anyone, do I really understand what is Ishwara arpanam? Because I don't understand Ishwara. If I don't understand Ishwara, how can I do arpanam? तो ये तो वर्ड्स हो गए ना, सुनने में तो बड़ा करेक्ट लगा सब कुछ, but how will I grow? Because the growth is not about understanding Ishwararpanam, it is about doing Ishwararpanam. So how do I do Ishwararpanam? So first and foremost, I'm going to take the help of, this book will also say it further, but come to understand what is Ishwara. The word Ishwara. To some extent we have understood by what we have done in these two classes, that invisible force, intelligent, conscious being, call it power, principle, whatever words, because it's never going to be in our perceptual knowledge. That is called Ishwara, which must be the governor we have to infer. Now, what do the Vedas do about this? If I'm just going to act for whatever I have, I'm a samsari. Whatever I want, I'm a samsari. What Vedas says is, you act for something higher than you. This is also connecting, I've just got a question, what is the purpose of life and all that. I'll take this kind of question as a separate class at some point. What is the purpose of life? Is there a purpose of life? Are the purpose universal or is it an individual purpose? All these questions I will take up separately. Here in this context, I'm bringing the word higher to make us understand how the Veda looks at it. If you are already doing an action with a sense of karta, you are a samsari. Correct? फल तो तुम्हें मिलने पता नहीं क्या मिलेगा, नहीं मिलेगा, कितना मिलेगा, कब मिलेगा, कैसा मिलेगा. So anxiousness for the result orientedness. You don't know how to tweak your action because you just don't know what result will come. So how do you modify your action, etc. What Veda says is, introduce a higher factor in your mind. That introduction of a higher factor is in the form of all these devtas. They are principles when you grow a little more. But here we are talking from the standpoint of an absolute ignorant person who is nothing but an ahankari, a karta bhav jiva. Usko Ishwar Arpanam kaise sikhaenge? Am I making sense so far? Are you yeah, okay. So the one who doesn't have a concept of Ishwara, वो ईश्वर अर्पण कैसे करेगा? और अगर वो ईश्वर अर्पण उसे पता ही नहीं कैसे होगा, तो फिर rest of it is redundant. So there is this thing in the Vedas, not directly in the Vedas, but afterwards in Smriti Granthas it comes up more. Say a puja. When I write this, I'm not saying I'm advising it or nothing. I'm explaining the principle. And all this I have copied from, I just did a shortcut. So Googled it, kahan pe hai, so I don't have to type it. So I copy paste it from there. The site will be, I love my India or something. The first thing that came, I've just copied it from there. These are the steps of a puja. Okay. Now, what is the puja? See the steps. Dhyanam samarpayami. The minute you say dhyanam samarpayami, what is the word? Dhyanam. Dhyanam of what? Of the God, deity, principle, whatever you have put in, say Ganesha there. Now, I have a picture there. Dhyanam samarpayami. The minute I say dhyanam samarpayami, what have I told myself? All other thoughts out of the door that we can see. All of the thoughts at the moment go out of the door. Dhyanam samarpayami. I am introducing only this form. Dhyanam samarpayami. Samarpanam. Arpanam. Samarpanam. I am now offering, because samarpanam is offering. Dhyanam means I have offered. In dhyanam, what did I offer? My concentration, say. All other thoughts I have let go. Dhyanam samarpayami. Avahanam samarpayami. So now I am calling this deity, inviting. See how the thoughts will start changing. I have offered my, the right word is, my obedience or my ahankar ka, I have offered samarpanam. For that time, I am not important. You are the one who's in my mind. You are primary. Offering invitation. Asanam samarpayami. I offer a seat. Padyam samarpayami. I offer water to wash the feet. Arghyam samarpayami. Hath dhona. I offer water to wash hands. Achamaniyam samarpayami. Offer water to drink. Snanam samarpayami. I'm offering water for the bath. Mahabhishekam samarpayami. These are extra steps. In short, there are 16. If you elaborate, it's 27. Means I'm head bath. What you see in most of the idols. Pura kap Mahabhishekam samarpayami. Then Pratisthapayami. There should be. That samarpayami's got mixed there. Now offering him a seat. Vastram samarpayami. Fresh clothes. Yajnopavitam samarpayami. These kind of steps are not there in the 16th step, but just take it as a knowledge at this point. So you're offering the thread that would allow people to do the karma, yajna. That was yajnopavitam, the janeyu. That's called yajnopavitam. With that thread, you could do your Vedic karma. Yajnopavitam samarpayami, so you offer that so that they can change it. Gandham samarpayami, some sandalwood paste, something fragrant for your senses. Akshatam samarpayami, some rice or something. Pushpam samarpayami, etc. Ashtottaram pujam samarpayami. Ashtottara, the 108 names of that particular deity. Dhupam, Agrahapayami. Dhupam Agrahapayami. Dhupam Agrahapayami. Agraha. I have to recheck the word. So you're offering the dhupam. Again, fragrance, agarbatti, whatever. Deepam darshayami, lighting the lamp, and then there will be probably a month, etc. Now you go all of them steps. In all of them, what is there? Samarpayami, 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 samarpayami. If you do this for a period of time, for a few weeks, for a few months, what have you got a sanskar of now? Samarpanam. Samarpanam can only be done to something. But that something should be there in your perception of understanding. Whether it's in an understanding or as just a, say, a photograph of belief, but it has to be there. So what the Vedas did is, pujas were introduced at a physical level to train us, train is a word I am using, to put that sanskar of giving importance to something other than yourself, of that offering samskar. Once a person has learnt this, the idols were all dropped away. They were not needed. They are not necessary. Because जब आदत पड़ जाती है ना, वो attitude की आदत पड़ गई, then you have this attitude now available in every action you do. I'll give a simpler example to make it parallel. When you have affection for your parent, what comes naturally?
Serving them.
Serving them. Does it take effort? It's so natural. That is samarpayami. You have offered your entire self there because you value your parent. That service is automatic. You are not seeing a reciprocation there. You are in fact feeling the more I do, less it is. It's not adequate enough. Because you just know that there is so much you have already received. So much they have brought value to your life that any amount of your doing is not working. It's not enough. Now, once you have it for your parent, is it difficult to extend it to another senior citizen? When you go to an old age home, will the same bhav not come up when you see them and you say, "Kisi ke to maa baap hai hi na ye"? Automatically, aapke nahi hai. That mere has got removed now. That attitude makes you expand. It has broken the boundary of me and mine. And it's become expansive. It's now available for action as if wherever the context arises. So, because Ishwara is not tangible, we have all these principles brought in a Saguna form to help us develop a certain right attitude with the help of these actions. Puja is an action. It's almost like saying, the Pole vaulting, our famous example forever. Pole vaulting. You use the pole to vault the height, but you leave the pole just before you cross over, because with the pole you can't cross. But without the pole, you cannot cross. So you learn to leave it at the point when it is to be left. But without it, you cannot cross. But by itself, it doesn't mean anything. So if you leave it a little before, and if you don't leave it, oh my God, what a fall. And that's karmatha. The Purva Mimamsaka represent. They will just hold on to it. But what are these supposed to help you do? That arpanam buddhi, when it's established, then it percolates in your behavior, in your attitude, in your vyavhar, in the way you look at the world and people and things. And that arpanam buddhi, for those minutes, I was just wondering in the morning today, that almost all our Vedic actions are very time consuming. If you have to say, this puja itself will take more than an hour, because that Ashtottaram, if you do, 108 times names and all that, the whole thing takes more than, so it's like they, up to our grandparents' time, I know maybe some parents' time now, but in my grandparents' time, I have seen it. Our whole morning household was busy doing these things. And fortunately, I guess there were joint families, so one or two members could keep themselves doing this. The rest of them were doing other housework and laukik karmas, what is necessary. But it's so time consuming that as our modern life adopted different value structure, this was impossible to hold. This is still impossible to hold because timings are changed. Everything has changed. The idea is not I'm saying this is to be done. The idea I'm trying to convey is that Ishwara Arpanam Bhav is generated with the help of this sort of karmas at the grossest level. And once you find yourself having generated it, Ishwara can be replaced with anything else if it's needed. Means it's always there. You can't replace it. So, but some higher value can be there. Something else can be there. So you can start with some higher value, but till it comes to Ishwara, this is now moving to another level. Up to that long period of time, here what you have offered is your entire ahankar, your karta, and if you don't want anything out of it, it's a karma that has got generated, which is bound to give some result. And what is that result? Here he says, Chitta Shodhakam. It becomes a means for purification of your chittam. Nechaya kritam. When I keep doing this over a period of time, then I find for that time my raga dveshas are diminishing first, my ahankar diminishes first. They start to taper off till this replacement happens in the way I look at things. Chitta Shodhakam. My chit has started becoming freer of my personal perspectives, my personal viewpoints, my personal gratifications, my personal seeking, my personal that little up to my nose that I see, most of us. मुझे ये चाहिए, मुझे ये नहीं चाहिए, मुझे वो चाहिए. Our sight is restricted right here. And this also, when you bring something so close, you can't see anyway. That is how self-absorbed we all are in our cocoons. And through this technique, I call it a technique. In Vedanta, when we come to Vedanta, you know, most of the people in Vedanta are, because it's so easy to talk Vedanta, but it's not easy to deliver growth, because growth is your process. And that is only possible when you take the karma part of it also into account. And that karma here, in this book, he's very beautifully summarized it. And to start off with, the entire Karma Yoga is this. Now the question I want to introduce is, because we are covering the whole topic, does Ishwara really have to be any of these Hindu gods? Shiva, Vishnu. Why? Because supposing if I say Ganesh also, and all the details of his Ashtottara, his, for your dhyanam, you need those specifications of this deity or idol, and you have knowledge of all of that, and your mind is focused on that, and all that is there. But in every Puran, wherever these deities are mentioned, their nature is mentioned as Nirgunam. Now my question is, if you replace this with another set of gods, I don't want to take the names. I believe you can understand yourself. You take another set of God. To us, it is Nirgunam. Because it's just Namarup. सृष्टि में कुछ भी उठा के सभी कुछ वो है तो कुछ भी ले लो, हमें नहीं फर्क पड़ेगा कौन किस नाम में किस भाषा में कर रहा है. But the question is, in that particular set of thinking, of whom they represent God, is their idea of God the same as your idea of God? That's the whole difference. Why I will say, if you are ready to accommodate all gods into our principles, then why are our gods taken? R is in that sense of, these particular gods that the Vedas mention. Why are they taken only to be Hindu? If I am ready to accommodate every other, and I understand because of all this that it's Namarup, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है, तो फिर सिर्फ इन्हीं को आपने हिंदू क्यों बना दिया? You see the subtle point? Why have they got demarcated as something? Why are they still not universal? Why are they not open to someone else to pray? Why are they not acceptable as God somewhere else? That is why I draw distinction. Distinction is, the Vedic idea of God is very different. And we need to learn to see the difference to get the maximum benefit in that sense of seeing it in the right direction. Our God is not a form to be followed. Our God is a God to empower us. मेरे कर्म के लिए वो बना है, मेरी उपासना के लिए वो बना है. वो है इसलिए मैं वो करूं, वो वैदिक गॉड नहीं है. उसने कहा इसलिए मैं करूं. Krishna said, surrender everything to me. That's fascinating. Ananyas chintayantoya. He says, जो last thought पे मेरे बारे में सोचेगा, I'll give him moksha. So everybody, okay, even in our understanding of this, so there's a whole community. Last thought, okay, fine. At the end of the Gita, what did he say? Yatha ichhasi tatha kuru. He didn't say follow me. Do what you want. I've given you what is the best for you, but I leave the choice to you. You follow me or you don't follow me, it's up to you. You follow me or you follow someone else, or you don't follow anybody, you follow yourself. If you follow yourself, samsara is your gati. If you want higher gati, you have to take into account your karmas and your upasanas. If you want moksha, you have to grow out of karma. Karma is an impediment, but it is a pole. Without it, you cannot come to the other side. So, Ishwar Arpanam can only be understood if there is a samskar of it's a deliberated attitude. That deliberation of an attitude, pujas and everything is just a helpful aid, which is going to now be taken up in the next verse. That at what levels are these actions there? I hope the principle is correct, and I hope I'm making myself clear. It's not that we are saying do this or don't do this and blah, blah, blah. It is that why Ishwara Arpanam, Ishwara is important, a higher factor is important. And that higher factor cannot be an imaginary factor. It has to be touching the principle, the truth. And the more that comes, you will find at some point you're freed of all karmas. You don't need karma. It's like saying, when we were in school, our Hindi teacher was good, I would say. For writing practice, he made us write with kalam. In those time, those ball pens had started coming. So he would beat us with a ruler if we had not finished one page. Homework it used to be. It was a voluntary thing because schools could not make these things compulsory. But as a teacher, he knew how important it was to learn a good writing with the help of a kalam. And he made us write. And because it was voluntary, he got kalams for us, and he would give us one page to do at home. And next day, he would check for all those who had volunteered to do it. Initially, it was very painful. And I was cursing myself. Why did I choose it? Itne log nahi kar rahe. In our class, there were only 5-6 of us who had chosen it. Why did I, tab to khelne ja rahe. Now I have to take that extra time to write one more page homework. But as I started practicing, at some point it became enjoyable. And I started seeing the change in my writing. It was very beautiful. When I saw the change in my writing. Without the kalam, also I was writing. And I would have improved to some extent if I wanted. But that kalam brought a distinct improvement, which only kalam writing could have brought. And the benefit of it I got many years later, when I actually made a poster of the whole Gita being written, just the verses. It was fascinating when I got that opportunity, because at that time I didn't even know what Gita was. But I got that opportunity because my writing was good. And it was absolutely extraordinary for me. What are Vedic karmas? What is puja? You don't know the phal at that time. It's only taxing. It's very tiring. It's very boring. But if one is persistent, at some point they become enjoyable. And at another point you get freed of the kalam. Now I can pick up my pen and write. I can pick up a ball pen and write. Okay, I think we'll stop here and continue in the next class. Idea is, this is very important because for years people keep asking us. There's a lot more one can add into Ishwar Arpanam. But if you pick this much up, rest, I think you can discern yourself also. How the higher value also helps it. But somewhere you must have the attitude developed for you to understand further what it is. A theory of it is not enough to say that it gives me chitta shuddhi. Knowing what it is not enough to say it is going to give me chitta shuddhi. Knowing is good that it can make me do the right thing. But to do it or not is still my choice. I hope I'm clear. Yeah. So we'll end here. Priyanka.
ॐ सर्वेषां स्वस्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां स्थिर्भवतु सर्वेषां पूर्णं भवतु सर्वेषां फलं भवतु सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः परिपालयन्ताम् न्यायेन मार्गेण महिषा गोब्राह्मणेभ्यः शुभमस्तु नित्यम् लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु काले वर्षतु पर्जन्यः पृथिवी सस्यशालिनी देशोऽयं शोभरहितः ब्राह्मणाः सन्तु निर्भयाः ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
Thank you, everyone. Any
One
question?
question. Yeah. So, can we say Ishwar is anything outside of me? Or does it need to be something higher? I mean, can I say with the planet or even my sister or my parents or my neighbor, and I can do something for them?
Absolutely. Matradeva Bhava, Pitradeva Bhava, Annadeva Bhava. So anything can be looked upon as a Devta, as Ishwara. Ishwara is like we saw the name Karta, it's a common name. It's a common name. Vishwadevaha. So all gods are included in that. Any principle can be, but you can bring out any, it's like from the Ganges, you can take out any stream of water, any channel of water, it will still be Ganges. I should have an Ishwar buddhi there. And I should have the right knowledge that this doesn't make them Ishwar, their nature is Ishwar, just as my nature is Ishwar. And yet, I see them as distinct, therefore I transact with them and I can convert it into a beautiful relationship or worship, or I can expand it anywhere. Anything. That is why Ganesh Chaturthi, the right way of doing Ganesh Puja is, at least in South I know, they make Ganesha of turmeric.
Yeah.
Saligram, Vishnu Puja. What is Saligram? It's a specific stone which is actually so beautifully, by the constant flow of water, it has rubbed itself so well. That pebble is a particular shape of a pebble. And in that shape of a pebble, it's found in the banks near Nepal and things like that. It's very rare to find, but they impose Vishnu on it. As we move forward, I have promised someone who had a question that when we come to the Upasana part in this book, I will take it in detail. So this karma part this much, because it will move into japa and dhyanam, So when you see the whole concept together, they are made of stones, And then what do you do with that turmeric, heap of turmeric? You worship, and last day what do? Dissolve it back. Utpatti, used it for the sake of your worship, released it back. There is no ownership. That is how Vedic system worked. And so anything correct, anything in the world can be converted into Ishvara. And that's why higher ideals are brought. See, as you keep bringing it lower, when it's like supposing when you say I was growing, I was learning, I was wanting to learn, say, etc. The only thing I knew was Karam Yoga, and physiotherapy was a great field for me to practice it. What was the attitude? I don't know what God is. I don't know what Ishvara is. I have no Vedic system of puja. I did not know these steps that I know now. All that I knew was that you look upon your patient as a Ishvara expression, and your capacity as Ishvara's capacity, and do your best to relieve the pain. Be honest and do your best. And in few months' time, and I made sure that I'm not working for money, I'm not working for this, I'm not. So every time the thought came, it was corrected. After a few months, there was no need for a correction because the thought didn't come. I was not working for money. So what happened in that process? Now this was Karam Yoga without those Vedic gods, but Ishvara, which is present everywhere. Yeah? And so you see that Chitta Shuddhi comes only when the Raga Dveshas are controlled. The bottom line is this. Okay? Thank you so much. And see you next week.
Thank you, Deepti ji.